And joining me now from Georgia is NBC national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist, and chief data analyst Steve Kornacki is at the big board. So, Aaron, this did end up as a runoff between a Republican and Democrat, but it's still a heavily Republican district, right? What are you hearing from voters there?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is a district that has been heavily Republican for a long time. We know President Trump was able to win this district back in 2024 by more than 30 points, more than 35 points, as a matter of fact. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who used to hold the congressional seat for this district, also beat the Democratic contender back then in 2024 by 29 points. And now that Democrat is running again for this seat, Sean Harris, the retired Army Brigadier General, and he has, along with Clay Fuller, the Republican candidate, both of them together have really motivated voters to get out and vote. The ones that we've spoken to today have really stood by their convictions, their concerns about the cost of living right now that are going up again, many of them say. But they're also holding to their convictions about who they believe can address the issues that are of importance to them. I want you to hear from a couple of voters that we've spoken to at this precinct today, which has been pretty busy. Here's what they had to say.
I'm not that familiar with him and his politics. I mean, I'm just not. I know that Trump supports him and that he's the Republican. So that's the way we voted this time.
You always vote Republican. Was there anything in this race that made you think twice?
No. Trump endorsed him. That's good enough for me.
I voted for Sean Harris. And what brought me to the polls was I'd been unhappy with Marjorie Taylor Greene and kind of her outspokenness. And so I wanted somebody who was more focused on the issues for Rome.
And Sean Harris says that he is focused on rural issues in particular. This part of northwest Georgia is largely a rural area. And so he says as he's been focused on those things that he believes will bring Republicans over to his side, not to mention Democrats and independents in this area. Clay Fuller has presented himself as a MAGA warrior, said that he will be an America First member of Congress, one who supports President Trump 100% across his policies, Monica.
And that last voter did mention former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene there. But, Aaron, in all the voters you've been talking to, have many of them mentioned her, especially since she's been vocally opposed to the president, specifically on the war against Iran?
You know, not a lot. As we've been here today, we were here for the special election last month as well, and we would ask people about Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I have to tell you that she doesn't really seem to be a factor in the minds of a lot of people here, as though they've, one, moved on from her, but also the people who are supporting the Republican candidates, the 12 of them who were in the field during the special election, the one who is on the ballot today, they have all said that they are still very much supporters of President Trump. And so they have backed the candidates in this race, and they've backed a perspective that is obviously different from Marjorie Taylor Greene's, as her support of President Trump, we know, has all but disappeared at this point, Monica.
Aaron Gilchrist, thanks so much for your on-the-ground reporting. Great to have you there. Let's turn to Steve now, and let us know, what are you watching for tonight in both Georgia and Wisconsin?
Yeah, I mean, let's start there in that Georgia race where Aaron is. So, again, you're going from basically the far Atlanta suburbs here, one end of the district. A lot of vote is going to be right down here. This is where the population density is, and then stretching all the way up really into the Chattanooga suburbs there on the Tennessee border. But as Aaron said, look, this is Republican territory. How much so? This is what the presidential race looked like in this district in 2024. It was a 37-point victory here for Donald Trump. Now, in these special elections, we've seen a number of these House special elections since Trump came back to the White House. In all of them, the Democrats have been doing much better than they did in 2024. The average Democratic overperformance in special elections to Congress since Trump came back to the White House is 17 points, meaning if that holds, if the Democrats get their average overperformance, that 37 would end up being, well, it would still be a loss for Democrats. It would be down to 20 points. So I think realistically, as you watch the returns come in here tonight in Georgia, Fuller is the prohibitive favorite in this race. This is just such an overwhelmingly Republican district. There is no district in the country, even remotely this Republican, that Democrats have succeeded in winning in the last few years. But I think it's sort of like in sports, the point spread, right? I think you'd set this point spread at about 20 points here. If it's lower than that, Democrats are going to say, hey, look, we can't win here, but, we put on a really good performance and it's a bit of a moral victory. If it goes higher than 20, Republicans are going to be saying, hey, all that talk that Democrats have this big advantage in the midterm. Hey, maybe we showed something here. So I think 20 points is kind of the number to keep in mind as you're watching those Georgia returns tonight. Then over to Wisconsin, it's a bit the opposite here. The expectation here is that the Democratic aligned candidate, Chris Taylor, is going to win tonight and win comfortably. Why is that? Because in that race, it's not because of how the 2024 presidential race went. Remember, Wisconsin, of course, it's a premier swing state. Trump won the state, but it was very close. It was a little bit less than a point in the presidential race. The reason Taylor is favored is because in that report from Shaq, he talked about that Supreme Court race in Wisconsin last year, spring of 2025, high stakes, court on the line, Elon Musk money. Well, the Democrats ended up winning that race. The Democratic aligned candidate won that race by 11 points. And the reason for that was you saw a huge, disproportionately high Democratic turnout around Dane County. This is where Madison is. This is just a monster in terms of the number and size of votes that it turns out for Democrats here. But you saw disproportionately high Democratic turnout. You saw those places, those blue-collar places near the Mississippi River, some Hispanic areas, too, where Trump had done very well and Republicans don't normally do very well. Those areas just did not turn out for Republicans last year. So I think the expectation, just based on last year, is that the Democrats, because of their energized base in a state like Wisconsin, have a clear advantage here. So again, if you were setting the line like we just said in Georgia, I'd set it around 10 points right here. If it gets inside of 10, Republicans will claim some kind of moral victory. If it goes higher than 10, Democrats are going to say, wow, we really have the energy on our side here.
Coach Kornacki, we will be watching that spread. Thank you so much. And Steve, we'll have live special coverage of tonight's election results as they start coming in. Kornacki Cam kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern on NBCNews.com.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.